Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session this morning about empowering your marketing teams to create personalized content. So we will start out with everyone's favorite slide in all of our presentations this week. This is our forward-looking statement. Basically, we're reminding you that we will be showing you things that are currently in market, but in case we happen to show something that might be forward-looking, we want you to only base any purchasing decisions on software that is generally available now. So I am Don Owens. I'm a Director of Product Management in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and I'm joined this morning by Elliot Harper, who is one of our most excellent Salesforce MVPs and absolutely an expert in all things Marketing Cloud. So we're pretty excited. We have a pretty full agenda. We're going to be diving into some more advanced features of Content Builder, and so we'll talk about. We'll give you a brief overview of what Content Builder is for those who aren't totally familiar with it. We have a quick demo. Elliot will talk about the power of AmScript, which is our scripting language that we have in the Marketing Cloud, and then I will be talking about some exciting stuff we have around allowing you to build custom blocks with our Block SDK. So with that, let's get started. So what is Content Builder? This is basically our content repository in the Marketing Cloud that is cross-channel. It's in our email channel and our web channel. And that is expanding into our mobile channels here in an upcoming release. But it has a lot of great features around that make it easy for just about any user to make great looking content. It has drag and drop editing, so users can just simply point and click to add content to their emails or their web pages. It has the power of Einstein behind it, so you can add predictive recommendations to messages in your channels. Native to the Marketing Cloud is the ability to collaborate across business units and across your entire organization. And then finally, we built this to be an extensible platform. So we have native integrations with some of our partners like Sitecore and Dropbox. We have an open REST API that allows for custom integrations. And then lastly, I'll be talking about the Content Block SDK. And so we'll have a quick demo, just an overview of Content Builder for those who may not be familiar with it. Like I said, Content Builder is our cross-channel repository in the Marketing Cloud. So it's, you can load images, content blocks, you can build emails, you can build templates, you can build web pages. And like I said, coming soon, there will be all of our mobile messaging will be moving into Content Builder as well. So I just have a really quick demonstration here, just showing Content Builder. So this is Content Builder, the application. You see folders on the left for organizing. You have a list view here. I can switch to a thumbnail view. But I'm just going to pick an email here that I want to show you how quickly you can build a really nice looking email. So we'll select this email. I see some details about it, but we'll open it up in the editor that's built into Content Builder here. And you see on the left, you see all of these different types of blocks of content that I can drag into my email. Text, images, that sort of thing. I can switch to my content tab here where I can select content that's already loaded into Content Builder. It could be images or content blocks. And so I found an image I want to add. When I drag that image into the page, I see some properties of that. I can change some things. I think that's a little big, so I'm going to just change the size of that so it fits the scale of the email a little better. And then I have some text content blocks that I've already created. So I'm inviting people to this climate summit that we're having this week at Dreamforce. So there's some information about this, and we had a webinar ahead of time to give people a preview about this. I have a call to action button that I've built with the button block, and you can see here, pretty easy to change details about this button if I want to change the text, colors, that sort of thing. And then lastly, I have a closing paragraph I'll add. I just simply drag it over. Doesn't quite look right. So let's change some padding on this. So I can just scroll down easily just with a couple clicks. I can add maybe 20 pixels of padding all the way around this block so it lines up the block above it. Pretty easy to do there. So pretty quickly, and I think we have one last image we want to drag in here that's just that. Oh boy, that's really big. Let's click the scale to fit button, and that'll shrink that image down so it fits the width of the email. So pretty quickly, I added some content in there that I had already defined, and I have a pretty nice looking email, so I think we're ready to go. Yeah, and then, so now let's turn it over to Elliot to talk about some personalization using AmScript.
Great, thanks, Tom. Well, good morning. As Tom mentioned, my name is Elliot Harper, and I've been working with Marketing Cloud for many years. I'm a Salesforce MVP, and I've also written books on Marketing Cloud, including my latest book, the AmScript Guide, that I co-authored with Adam Spriggs here. I encourage you to go and pick up a copy from the Dream Store, just down the corridor, or you can head online to amscript.guide for an online copy. So Don's already shown us the power of Content Builder and how it enables marketers to build emails with ease. Now, I'm going to further explore how marketers and developers alike can actually create highly personalized content in Content Builder using AmScript. Now, AmScript is a powerful scripting language for Salesforce Marketing Cloud. But before we do that, I firstly want to explain and share some features that enable easy personalization in Content Builder. So let's jump in and take a look. So here I am in Content Builder, and I've created this promotional email for a travel company. And I'll be sending this email targeting existing contacts with offers that they might be interested in. So I've already gone and created this from a template in Content Builder, and I've actually got some content blocks and dynamic content blocks that I've dragged over to some content areas here. And as you can see here, and I've actually created different business rules in each of these dynamic content blocks. So if we go and take a look at those, you can see that in here we're changing the offer and the image based on the region that subscriber might be interested in. And when I go and preview the email, we can view the different content that each subscriber in this sendable data extension will receive. So you can see the images are changing and also the offers too. There we go. Now, creating these dynamic content blocks in Content Builder, as you can see, is really a breeze. And these content blocks use AmScript to create this conditional content. So marketers can build out these business rules with clicks, not code. Now, before I talk about AmScript, just one common syntax that you might have seen in Marketing Cloud are these double percentage marks. And this syntax is referred to as personalization strings. It's important to note that personalization strings are not AmScript. However, they're commonly used in conjunction with AmScript, so it's important to mention them. Now, most digital marketing platforms offer personalization strings. I mean, they might be referred to as something else like merge tags or merge fields or substitution strings. But this support enables a string-based identifier to be included in email and replaced with a value from about subscriber data or a system-derived value when that email is sent or previewed, or maybe when content is published. And there are two different types of personalization strings in Marketing Cloud. We have attribute-based strings and system-based strings. Now, attribute-based strings enable the string to be replaced with a value based on the context of the send. And these can be derived from different data sources, including email subscriber profile attributes, maybe fields from a sendable data extension, or if I'm sending an SMS, it can be attributes from a mobile connect list, and more. But as an alternative to actually going in and typing this syntax each time, Content Builder provides a very convenient method of going and including personalization strings right from the interface. So let's go and take a look. So yeah, here we are. I'm just going to quickly let's jump back into the interface here. and we'll go into a content block, and you can see from this menu I can actually go and select existing system personalization strings, or I can go and choose a different data source. So let's go and do that. In this instance, I'm going to be choosing the sendable data extension that we're going to be using to send the email. So I'll just go and select that here, and when I do so, you click OK, and all of the fields that are available in that data extension appear in the menu. And I can simply insert it, so I'll select this placeholder here and replace it with first name, and you can see that's inserted. There are a couple of different areas in this email that I also want to personalize, so let's do that, and there's a first name here. And also we've got a region here. Great. So in addition to these attribute-based strings, we have things called system-based personalization strings. And we're going to be using one of those in Marketing Cloud to go and set an offer expiry date for our email, in that we want this offer to expire 5 days after the email has been sent. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to be using this string here. We'll just go in here. Firstly, open the block and select this placeholder text here and replace it with the value xt long date. And when I do that, I can go and then preview the email. And we can see that this value is, obviously the email's personalized and the value's been replaced with today's date, or when the email is sent or previewed. And this is great, but as I explained, that we want to personalize the email not with today's date, but in 5 days' time when the offer expires. And that's where AmScript can help. So what is AmScript? Well, AmScript is a server-side scripting language that, unlike other general server-side scripting languages like JavaScript, Perl, and Python, AmScript is developed for a specific runtime environment, that is Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And when content is, and when these scripts are interpreted and executed, the AmScript is interpreted and then substituted where that AmScript code appears. And server-side, because it's a server-side scripting language, AmScript can be included in any place in our email, or it could be actually any channel. It can be used in an SMS message or even in a web page. And AmScript is a language in two parts: a syntax and a library of functions. And with an understanding of both of these, you're able to quickly gain proficiency in your use of the language and create highly personalized, sophisticated marketing campaigns. But the scope of this session isn't to go and teach you AmScript. However, if you're interested in learning that, then I'd encourage you to join me on Friday morning in the Frontier Theatre, where I'll be looking at AmScript in depth. But for now, let's go and take a look at the syntax and functions. So firstly, the syntax. Now, similar to personalization strings, AmScript also uses these double percentage marks, which are surrounded neither equality characters for something called inline AmScript, or these bracket delimiters for what are called AmScript blocks. And all AmScript code must be surrounding in these opening and closing delimiter patterns. Otherwise, the content within it will be ignored. And so just a word on functions then. So unlike other scripting languages such as JavaScript, which offers user-defined functions, AmScript offers more of a declarative approach, where it uses predefined functions that are primarily orientated to displaying data and content, transforming content, and actually storing data. And AmScript functions are referred to as what are called pure functions, in that they accept an input and return an output based on that input. And in fact, AmScript functions work in much the same way as they do in Excel. where in Excel that we have these predefined functions, and we go and set parameters for those functions, and they return a value. And in fact, there are many AmScript functions that are identical to Excel functions in that they accept the same number of arguments and return the same value as their Excel counterpart. So that's a little bit about AmScript syntax and functions. So let's go and take a look at how we can use AmScript in our email. So firstly, what I want to do is so before we do that, I just want to talk about some of the use cases for AmScript, which includes you can use it for working with content, that is conditionally displaying different content versions, or even entirely different content based on predefined rules. We can use AmScript to work with data, things like applying a CRUD operation. So this is create, read, update, delete operations on data extension records. We can use AmScript for conversion, so like converting strings and integers and dates and much more. We can use it to perform math operations on data. And we can also use it to integrate with a sales and service cloud, that is objects or records in those objects, and also most REST and SOAP APIs through a set of HTTP-based functions. So, but for now, we want to go and use AmScript to go and personalize our email. And specifically, we want to go and, as I said, change that offer expiry date for 5 days' time. So in order to do that, we're going to use a function called a date add function in Marketing Cloud. So let's go and do that. I'll just go and edit this existing content block. We'll jump over to the HTML editor, and I'll just go and cut that string and insert some inline AmScript syntax here and type date add, which accepts 3 arguments: the string we want to transformat, the number that we want to add, in this case 5, and the date part, in this case D for days. And so we can now go and click next, and we can go and preview this. And scroll down, and hey presto, and there it is. We can see that this date has changed now, hasn't it, to 5 days' time. But actually, a bit of a problem here in that this is actually displayed as a date time stamp. And we want to go and format this in a long date format. And so again, we can use another AmScript function to achieve that. And you actually use it as a nested function. Now, rather than requiring users to go and type out this code, Content Builder conveniently includes a number of common functions that enable for selection from within Content Builder. So if we jump and take a look at that then, we can go into, we'll just go back here, just 1 second. No, hang on, 1 second. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go into that, back into that content block, and from our editor, we're going to go and cut that function. We're going to be using that again in a minute. I'm just also going to delete those delimiter pattern here, and from my AmScript formatting menu, I can go and select the format date function. And when I do so, this is going to be inserted into my email. I'll now go and paste that function we were using before, and just add an additional parameter to the function, in this case L, to display a long date. I'll click Done Editing, and Next. And when I do so, let's wait for this to load, and scroll down, and you'll see that the date, hasn't it, has been transformed to a long date. Now, rather than requiring users to go and type out this syntax every time I want to go and display a long date, Marketing Cloud actually, in fact, Email Studio specifically, includes a feature called code snippets. And code snippets enable developers to actually go and create and organize a whole library of reusable AmScript code that can be included in emails. And so let's go and take a look at that. So here, we'll just go over here. And here's a code snippet that we created. So once that's saved, we can go back into our email and edit that content block. And I'm just going to go and delete that code we created earlier, because we don't need to use that anymore, do we? We can simply go and select from the code snippet menu this 5-day expiry date, and when we do so, it appears there. So you can see how easy it is to enable code reuse. So that really concludes my very brief demonstration of AmScript. But if you want to learn more about AmScript, then I encourage you to join my session on Friday morning in the Frontier Theatre. And if you'd like to learn more about AmScript, as I mentioned, another shameless plug for our book, The AmScript Guide, which I co-authored with Adam Spriggs down there, which is available in the Dream Store, or you can head over to amscript.guide, and there's a copy of the online version. And I'd also encourage you to head over to Salesforce Stack Exchange. And this is just such a great community for learning AmScript and finding out answers to questions that you may have on AmScript, and in fact, any technical Marketing Cloud question. And you'll find a link to Salesforce Stack Exchange right from the Salesforce Marketing Cloud Developer Center in this Developer Forums area. Now, so that concludes my demonstration and presentation for now, and there'll be an opportunity to ask questions at the end, but for now, I'll hand back to Don. Thanks, Don.
All right. Thanks, Elliot. That's great stuff. No shame in plugging your book. It's excellent. I have a copy myself. I refer to it quite a bit. It's really good. Back to me, and we'll talk a little bit about our Content Block SDK. So earlier when I showed that quick demo of Content Builder, you saw how an email can easily be built by dragging those standard content blocks into an email from the left side of the page. So text, image, dynamic content, that sort of thing. But we know that these standard blocks won't always address every use case that marketers have. And so when we started building Content Builder several years ago, we always had this idea of extensibility in mind. So from day one, we had this idea that we wanted to allow partners, to allow our services teams, to allow clients, everyday users, to build their own blocks and leverage those within our editor. And so earlier this year at Trailhead X in March, we launched this Content Block SDK. Pretty simple SDK, but it allows anyone, it's open to everyone to build their own blocks. We have some partners on board that were our launch partners, like our friends at Movable Ink and Pixely and LiveClicker. We've added a few more since the launch. They've all built their own blocks, so let's say you're using Movable Ink, instead of going to Movable Ink's platform, creating something like a countdown timer and copying and pasting that HTML into your email, you can simply leverage their block and do all of that within the context of building your email. So it's a big time saver. It avoids mistakes, copying and pasting, that sort of thing. And it allows a user who's maybe not HTML savvy, CSS savvy, to do some things that through clicks that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. We have tons of customers using this already. They're doing things like building a handful of blocks to create basically an entire workflow that fits how they build emails and how they build landing pages and web pages. There's an administrative feature in Content Builder that allows you to hide any of our standard blocks. So in theory, you could basically create your own editor by creating your own blocks and hiding all of ours. So that's a pretty cool feature. We think our blocks are great, but sometimes it doesn't fit everything you want to do. So it's a great way to limit functionality. We've had clients do things like create custom button blocks that have very simple options that maybe only allow you to pick one of two colors, colors that match your brand. It doesn't allow you to pick a font, that sort of thing. So it's a way to enforce styling, a way to enforce branding, and a way to make it easy for users to build great-looking emails without having to know HTML and CSS. So let's take a quick look at a simple architecture diagram of how custom blocks work. Essentially, custom blocks are web pages or applications that are outside of the Marketing Cloud. So it could be a simple app that's running on Heroku or AWS or somewhere in Google Cloud or somewhere in your own stack. Basically, it's just an application that is somewhere outside of the Marketing Cloud, and the SDK allows that application to be exposed inside the email editor, and then it provides a handful of methods that allow that external application to get and set content within an email or a landing page. It's pretty simple. Right now there are 5 functions that are allow you to, like I said, to get and set content. You can do things in there like, if you have to authenticate, for instance, like movable links block, you have to authenticate into their platform. So when you add it to the page, if you haven't already logged in there, it prompts you with a login to log into movable link. You could do the same thing with your application. And then also, sometimes you may have a custom block that wants to authenticate into the Marketing Cloud, say to select an image from Content Builder. So you can also authenticate to the Marketing Cloud, and the SDK provides an example of how to do that as well. And so that last note, one thing that is important is it allows your custom block to communicate with the editor via cross-document sharing, so it's not hitting an API. And that's important because it basically allows for updates to happen in real time. So you can, as a user types, you can update the preview of the email as they type. So, it shortens that time frame. So I have a very quick demo. Just imagine we looked at building an email earlier that was for an event. And let's say I work in the Salesforce events marketing team. Maybe we commonly want to include maps in our event emails. So, maps to wherever the event is. It's pretty easy to generate a Google map, if you know a little bit about coding and know some HTML. But, it's also, it's a repetitive thing. We do it all the time. So, we thought we'd build a custom Google Maps block. And so we'll take a look at this block. It's pretty simple. We have this, it's just a small Heroku app, as you can see from the URL there. But basically, this block just allows somebody to enter an address or a location name in this field, and it will hit the Google Maps API and generate the map. You can do things like change the image, the height, the zoom level. If you want to click through link, you can add that here. This already looks good. I've built this app. I've tested it. And so let's go ahead and we're going to add this to the Marketing Cloud. So I just need this URL is all I need. And I go into the administration section of my Marketing Cloud account and go to the installed packages page, and that's where we will add this. So I already have a package out here called Custom Blocks, and I'll click into there. I'm hiding some sign-on information there. I'll click to add a new component, and we have a new component type called a custom content block. So I'll select that. It's pretty simple, and the only thing I need to do is give it a name, and I'll creatively call it a Google Map. And then I give it that URL of that Heroku app that we were just looking at. And so I'll save that, and it's added to my page. And I'll go back to Content Builder, and I just simply need to refresh the page because those blocks get cached. And so I'll refresh the page, and we'll open up that email that I built earlier. And so when I open this email, let's go ahead and do that. And we'll edit it. And so we see that email again, and all I have to do now is we see that Google Maps block is now in my custom blocks section there. We see some other fun stuff in there too. So I just simply drag it to the part of the page where I want that map to go, and we'll just say this, we want to go to Moscone West. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in here. You see that basically all I'm doing is exposing that application we were just looking at. It looks just like our other blocks, and as I type Moscone West, you can see it's going out and hitting the Google Maps API and generating that map. And let's go ahead and adjust the size of it so it's just right. I want it to be 580 pixels. There we go. That looks good. And yeah, looks good. Let's zoom out a little bit just to give you a little more perspective. Yeah, okay. That's fine. And yeah, I think that's good. I'm done. So we now have a map in our email, and pretty simple. And that block was actually built by one of the engineers on my team. He built it in about an hour and a half, I think, originally. So it's pretty simple to do. And we now have a great looking email with a map. And so lastly, there are a couple of links here. You can go out there. Like I said, the SDK is out in our GitHub repo. It's a public repo. It has example blocks. That maps block is in there as an example. We have another block out there that does some authentication and shows you how to do that and makes so you can authenticate into the Marketing Cloud. And there's a block tester app out there, that BTA link. So as you're developing your block, you can use a simple test harness to make sure it works, make sure it updates content correctly before you deploy it into an account. And then lastly, if you go to the developer site, as you see, that's what the image is there. There's extensive documentation for it as well. It's documented really well. So that's all good stuff. So I think we have time for a few questions. If anyone has a question, please step up to the mic.
And if you don't, that's fine too. I'll be hanging around after for a few minutes, but okay.
I think we do.
Yeah, just two questions. First of all, let's say that I have an offer that expires on the 1st of October, but then I decided to change the date of the expiry date, and I'm resending the emails. Do I have to redo the email, or can I have a dependency from the offer on the website that is derived to the email and automatically changed?
So you sent the email already, have you?
Yes, but I want to resend another session, let's say send out for the same customers, but let's say reiterate that the offer is extended.
Okay.
So do I have to retype the date, or can I make it dependent on the...
Oh, absolutely. So it can be derived, you can do something called setting it as a variable, and it could be derived from other data. In my instance, I just typed in that numeric constant of number 5, but it could completely be dynamic. That was just a quite basic example.
Okay, yeah. The second question is for the maps. Let's assume I have 800 POSs throughout the country. Can I make the map dependent on the current location of the customer so he is directed to the nearest point of sale instead of hard coding it into the, let's say, email?
Yeah, you could definitely do that. That block was built to just input, accept one address as an input. But you could certainly, and I actually know of a client who's built that example where their maps block looks at a data extension variable for the recipient's region or their closest store, and it generates the map as the email is sent. So as the email is sent, it generates a new map for each recipient.
Yeah, but let's assume the customer already got the email, and then he's basically, I don't know where he is. I just have his email address.
Okay.
Right? So the moment he taps the map, it should indirect him to the nearest location.
And certainly not using that implementation. It is possible to use that kind of live image, but it would need an external system, and Google Maps wouldn't provide that.
Right.
There are some third-party services that do geo-IP location lookup.
Yeah. Our partners, LiveClicker, I know they have live maps available in their platform. Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. Any other questions? Do you want to set up to the mic?
So can AmScript be used outside of Pardot?
Can it be used in Pardot?
Or outside of Pardot, outside of Marketing Cloud, like just on a web page?
So AmScript's developed, for that specific runtime environment, Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So it's not available in Pardot or other platforms. Okay. Great. Well, once again, if you have any questions, I'll be hanging around for a few minutes. We do have to let Don go. He has to sprint over San Francisco to present somewhere else in 25 minutes. So thanks all for coming, and enjoy the rest of Dreamforce.
Yep. Thank you.